The Yamal Painkiller Saga is seriously messed up. Strasbourg's ultras turn on their captain, Moise Kean gets his own soundtrack on FC 26, and a French legend officially retires at just 31. This is DMAC Daily. Barcelona absolutely cooked Valencia this past weekend, but there was one noticeable absentee from the match in La Masia's golden boy, Lamine Yamal. It was actually Hansi Flick's first ever win in La Liga without Yamal, but the context of his absence has ignited a feud between the Catalan Giants and the Spanish national team, because Yamal was ruled out of the Valencia game after returning from international duties with a groin injury. Flick claimed that Yamal had joined the Spain camp and wasn't fully fit to begin with. He didn't even compete a full training session for Spain, yet still started and played substantial minutes in both World Cup qualifying games. But it gets worse, as Yamal was reportedly given painkillers in both matches. That is insane for the opening two World Cup qualifying games, particularly seeing as though Spain breezed past both teams. Hansi Flick publicly spoke out, saying, "I'm very sad about this," and accused Spain of endangering the player. Spain have the best team in the world, the best players in every position. This is not taking care of players. I think this is a valid reaction. Spain were in cruise control in both games. Surely Yamal didn't need to play over 150 minutes in total, especially considering he supposedly had fitness concerns coming into both games. However, Spain's FA clapped back, suggesting that Barca never disclosed that Yamal was carrying an injury, as opposed to Fabian Ruiz and Yeremy Pino, whose clubs provided medical reports to the national team ahead of time. Beyond that, Spain's physio is also Barca's, so Barca aren't exactly faultless here. That being said, Spain were naive and put Yamal at serious risk of aggravating an injury. Now, he most likely won't feature in their UCL opener, but I do fear that if Barca and Spain don't manage his minutes more effectively in the future, a catastrophic outcome could be on the cards. Remember Pedri's breakthrough season at 18? He played 73 games in one campaign. Bro aged about 10 years in the space of 12 months. He then missed 85 games over the next 3 years due to frequent injury setbacks. It almost derailed his entire career. Thankfully, he has since recovered, but the same couldn't be said for Ansu Fati. The original heir to Messi was, like Yamal, destined for greatness, but at 18 he suffered a meniscus tear and was subsequently rushed back into action, to which he then tore his hamstring. His career has never been the same since. Gavi is another young prospect who suffered a major injury early on and hasn't been able to regain his fitness properly. I think Barca have most likely learned their lesson and are now acutely aware of this risk, but Spain clearly aren't. Giving him painkillers for early World Cup qualifiers, that is absolutely insane. This whole fiasco should also be a learning lesson for Yamal too. You may be a superstar now, but you are not immune to bad outcomes. Moving to French football, and the rift between anti-Bluecoat Strasbourg fans and their team is rapidly growing. For those who are unaware, Chelsea's ownership purchased Ligue 1 club Strasbourg in 2023. In the 2 years that have followed, 12 players have been moved between the two clubs, with Strasbourg's fans, particularly their ultras, concerned about the direction their club is heading. That despite the significant increase in transfer investments and improved on-field results, that it has come at the expense of the club's autonomy. I mean, they're now often referred to as Chelsea's sister club, one that ultimately serves in the long-term interests of the English giants, not Strasbourg, which is why the decision to sell club captain and one of their brightest talents, Emmanuel Omega, to Chelsea next season has caused uproar, particularly amongst the club's most dedicated fans. A banner was displayed in last weekend's home fixture that said, "Omega, pawn of Bluecoat. After changing shirt, give back your captain's armband." As heavy of an individual condemnation as it gets. Strasbourg's manager Liam Rossigna criticized the actions of the ultras, saying that Omega was devastated by the banner and that it was unacceptable. Now, whilst I do think it is incredibly harsh to isolate individuals, I can also recognize that Strasbourg's club captain, the leader of the team, should be held to the highest standards, and that the timing of his departure to Chelsea next season, at the literal beginning of this one, only emphasizes that uncomfortable truth, that Strasbourg are not the priority here. In a lot of the discourse surrounding multi-club ownership, many football fans are of the opinion that if investment is large and if sporting results are good, then fans have no right to feel aggrieved. But I certainly don't subscribe to that school of thought. If the success comes at the cost of the club's identity, then many fans would rather see their club struggle with full control. Beyond this, Strasbourg's most dedicated fans also released a separate statement demanding their long-term president resign, claiming he no longer has any control over the club's decision-making and that, quote, "today he is nothing more than a communicator tasked with defending Bluecoat's policy." Moving to virtual football news, and FC26 has officially dropped their full soundtrack list for their new release with 109 tracks from over 30 countries. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know who half of these guys are, but I think that's the beauty of what FC or FIFA have executed so well historically. They find these gem tracks through a variety of genres that in the future make for peak nostalgia looking back. Although looking at the artists credited in this upcoming release, there's one that really stands out in KMB, an upcoming Italian hip-hop artist who just so happens to be a renowned professional footballer by the name of Moise Kean. Ken's track, Bombay, marks the first time an active professional that is literally a player in an EAFC game is also contributing to the game's music catalog. No doubt the likes of Sergio Ramos, Memphis Depay, Alex Iwobi, Rafael Leao, or Prison FC's latest signing Quincy Promes, all of which happen to make music, may be slightly jealous that the Italian was chosen at their expense, but focusing on Kean, it's kind of wild that this sudden music pivot has coincided with the best form of his entire footballing career. In 2024, he released his debut album, Chosen. In that same season for Fiorentina, he racked up 28 goal contributions in 44 games, and in his last 3 appearances for the Azzurri, he has 5 goals to his name. So props to him, man. He's getting paid to do what he loves as both a footballer and as an artist. Also, the cultural impact this could have is huge, especially if the track's a banger. Staying in Italy, and we saw 2 fascinating contests overnight. Nico Paz, fresh off of winning the Serie A Rising Star of the Month award for August, proceeded to score an absolute worldie for Como. This kid is something else. However, a reckless challenge from another former Madrid player, Jacobo Roman, saw a red card, and in the dying embers, Genoa equalized. Meanwhile, Jamie Vardy made his Cremonese debut off the bench, donning the number 10 jersey, but was unable to make an instant impact as they were held to a scoreless draw away at Hellas Verona. The only thing crazier than seeing Vardy make his first Serie A appearance at 38 was seeing the Englishman link up with fellow Cremonese substitute Romano Floriani Mussolini, the great-grandson of the fascist dictator Benito Mussolini. The most ironic thing about this is that Mussolini Jr. just so happens to play as a right wing-back. You simply cannot make this stuff up. Cremonese may just be the most fascinating team to watch in Italy this season. And finally, in somewhat sad news, Samuel Umtiti has officially retired from professional football at just 31 years of age. This follows 2 injury-plagued seasons at Lille, where he only made 13 senior appearances. The Frenchman took to social media to break the news, saying, "After an intense career with ups and downs, the time has come to say goodbye. I gave my all with passion and regret nothing." His injury woes ramped up in the 2017-18 season, but famously, instead of undergoing surgery, he opted against. That season was an instrumental figure in winning the World Cup with France. That semi-final goal against Belgium will be talked about for generations. Unfortunately for the Frenchman though, it came at a cost, as his body was never the same following that tournament. He essentially sacrificed his career for the World Cup, which must be disheartening on an individual level, but bro ended up winning football's greatest prize as a key player. The trophy that every aspiring footballer dreams of the most as a kid. He'll forever be a national hero of French football, and if he had the choice to relive it again, I reckon he'd do it all over. But anyways guys, that's all for today's DMAC Daily. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, subscribe, click that notification bell so you don't miss a single upload, and I'll see you next time.